Hey friends, Jamie here with Satellite Gaming, coming at you with another Satellite Stories episode. We're going to be hanging out with Ashley, aka zSarayu. Ashley, she creates content on Twitch, on Instagram. I'm sure there's so many different places you can find her. But how I know her is from this thing we do called Multiply School that happens every January. Satellite Gaming, Love Thy Nerd, and many other organizations, churches, and individuals come together to do a 21-day residential training on video game ministry. And Ashley was one of those students this year. I'll leave this episode for you to learn about her yourself, for you to hear about the ministry that she's called to and the way that she serves individuals, specifically women, in different tracks of life. So I hope you enjoy this episode while we hang out with Ashley. All right. Ashley here for another episode of Satellite Stories. I'm so excited to hang out with you, my friend. I know you. Some listening might know who you are, or some watching might see and be like, hey, I know who that person is. Tell us a little about who you are and maybe why you're here, why you think you're here. I know why you're here. Let's see if you know.
Hello, I'm Ashley. I'm also known as zSarayu online, and I love God with all my heart to the point that I just want to share Him with the whole world, and that includes online, that includes through video games, that includes through everything that I do. And so, because of that, I am a streamer. I'm a content creator, and it's been such a blessing to be able to do what I do and what God has put in my heart. It's been beautiful to see.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. I know that we've talked to other content creators, and I know there are podcasts of varying formats. On this podcast, the content creators are always interesting to chat with because this is Satellite Stories. We're building a library of stories where lives have been impacted by the gospel. And you guys have so many stories, countless ends of stories, but a lot of it is not like, oh, but can we get that person on the podcast and talk directly to them? It doesn't always work that way, right? It's not like, hey, come sit on a couch with me. So when you say content creation and you have all these really cool random stories, what platforms do you use? And explain what each of those are, just for our non gamer savvy folk. Yeah. What is content creation?
Yeah, the social media apps that I usually use are like Instagram, where I'm able to post short videos, pictures as well. YouTube, be able to post whether it's vlogs, which is basically like recording myself or what I do daily, and be able to use that as a way to be able to pray for other people online or be able to share my own testimony through that, which is amazing. And through Facebook for people that still use Facebook.
Really? You're on Facebook? That's cool. That's good. Good. I'm sure there's people that that's where they like operate online, so they love it, right?
Yeah. And Twitter, and I don't know, I feel like I'm almost everywhere, hopefully, to be able
Did
to
you say Twitch?
share Christ. No, not yet, and Twitch.
No. Okay. I was like, I don't know. Did I miss it? But so which one is like, if you could spend all your time into one and just say like, guys, forget the rest of this noise, all these, there's so many platforms. What's the one that brings you the most joy? What's like actually fun for you?
Oh, it would be Twitch, because Twitch is where I do the live streaming, being able to interact with people, just live, not having to just post a video and wait for people to comment on it, but actually have those conversations online. It's just amazing.
You could post an Instagram video, and even like a year later, someone could comment on it, and then you see that old comment and you comment on that. But like when it's live, it's like it's just happening right then, and it's more like a conversation. Yeah, I would say I've done, just as a hobbyist, just for fun, I've done some content creation, and I always enjoyed going live. Like, yeah, some of the artsy stuff and like video editing was fun, but the real joy for me was just interacting with people online. So knowing that some people that listen are not gamers themselves, but they're connected with Satellite Gaming, or their kids or their grandkids are connected. What is, like, you think there's probably a lot of mystery for people that don't watch video games. They always think like, why do people want to watch others play video games? And I'm like, when was the last time you actually played football? How often do you watch football? Right? Like, just like help explain some of that culture, and like maybe like unveil some of the mystery to like, why would someone watch you play video games? What's in it for the viewer in that? Why would they want to do that?
I think it has to do, especially if you're live streaming it, I think it's just being able to talk to the person that's enjoying the same thing that you enjoy.
Yeah.
Like if you watch basketball or if you watch soccer, if you were able to just interact with that player, if you were able to interact with that person
Like while
live,
they're getting ready to kick the ball. Yeah.
yeah, while they're
Yeah.
ready to just go out into the field and be able to have a conversation with them, like that's just incredible. Like being able to share that hobby, that thing that you're passionate about. And I
Yeah.
think it's the same thing when with gaming. It's the same way with when people talk about their favorite movies, their favorite shows, and you're able to relate to like, do you remember that episode? Do you remember that scene?
Yeah.
And you both get so excited about it. In the same way about gaming, when you see that character in that game go through that part of the story and you see that person's reaction to that part of the story
I
that you
remember when I
reacted
felt
to.
during that part. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it's in the same way. You get to share that same hobby with that person. And when you do it live, when you do it like platforms like Twitch, you're able to see that in that moment and be able to talk about it with the person, which makes it just so special.
Yeah, I think that really challenges a misconception that non-gamers have, that like, oh, we just want to be alone the whole time. Like, no, gaming is like highly relational, highly like cultural, subculture. Like there's always, you're always doing it alongside. I mean, you can play solo games, but even then it's really a journey you're going on with people, right?
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think that's because God created us and he is a God that's relational. He loves relationship. So we have that within us as well. We want
Mm.
relationship with people. At times, yes, at times we do have want to be like kind of, want to be by myself,
Yeah,
but
I get
being
that.
able to socialize with others, be able to connect with others, that's just something that's within us because God put that within us because that's who he is. So,
Yeah, would you say there are gamers out there that is true for, but they don't even know it? Like they don't realize how much they're like starved for
oh yeah.
relationship, and then they experience it and they're like, okay, I actually don't think I want to game alone today. Or they experience authentic relationship when they stumble across your stream. They're like, this feels good. Why am I feeling this way?
Yeah,
Uh,
I actually had a conversation with someone, I believe on stream one day, in which they were asking me like, why do you think it's important for me to go to church? Like, why is that
mm,
important? Like, I can have my own relationship with God. I don't have to go. And so I started asking them, what game do you like to play? And they're like, Call of Duty. I'm like, okay. Do you like to play with your friends? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, isn't it more fun when you're doing it with other people? Isn't
yeah,
it more fun when you have a team that can back you up when you go into that battle, when you go on, versus the other team? And they agreed. And I'm like, in the same way with the church, like you
yeah,
need other people to be able to help you out when you're
that's
down.
cool.
You need that community to be able to encourage you and to be able to go with you into those battles that you are facing.
Yeah.
And it clicked for them, and they agreed when I was able to like put it in a form in which they were able to understand. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a really, really cool conversation.
That's cool. And that's the episode. Thanks for coming, guys. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's actually like gold. Like I love that. It's so special. I think it means something too. It's different from, me sitting down with a young person playing a video game like in their after school program versus like you're having this conversation like with, however many other people are watching this stream with you. So it's not just this person that's hearing it, but other people get to be a part of that conversation and make comments and also have these revelations. So that's what
Yeah,
I like about streaming. It's like, yeah, you can identify one person in the comments because people can chat with you while you're gaming, right? And you can identify one comment, but then there's also other people participating in that conversation. My father-in-law, a funny guy. I think you met him a little bit, but I think he was watching like a stream about a chicken coop, and it was just 24 hours, just a chicken coop, and he was so intrigued by it, and he's like, but like something, the chickens will do something random and stupid, and like then someone else will be like, oh, did you see that chicken do the blah blah? They're like, yeah, we named that one Eddie, and it's like, and he very quickly realized, like, I'm watching chickens. Like, what could you do if you're watching somebody that's like a professional at a video game? I'm like, now you get it, right? You get it.
yeah.
So, I'm sure you're much more entertaining than chickens. What are some of the games that you play on stream? Like, if you had a list of 3 games that you could only stream 3 games for the rest of your life, what would they be? That would be a really crappy situation, but what would they be?
I can't choose. There's no way.
Okay, right now, if you
Oh,
today, if you could
man.
only choose from 3 games, just today, because new games come out every
Yeah.
week, all the time. But what are like your top 3, maybe your top 1 or 2? What do you think? What are you
I
playing
think
right now?
right now I've been playing old school RuneScape, which is
Oh,
very
nice.
interesting because it's for me it's not even the nostalgia part of it because I didn't grow up with the game and the game has been
Okay,
out I think maybe 10 or more years.
yeah, I
And I
was.
started getting
It was
into
out
it
when I
like
was a
a year
kid,
ago.
and it was,
So
yeah.
so yeah, it's been a bit.
Oh, yeah. But you just recently got into it.
Yeah,
And you're
about
not
like a
playing the
year
newer
ago.
version, you're playing old school version, like
Yeah.
what I played when I was a teenager. So, yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy. That's cool. Okay.
So
So
yeah, that's
RuneScape.
been really, really cool. Sometimes League of Legends,
Okay.
but
Okay.
not as much because
Yeah, you wince there, and I'll explain to our audience the reason for that. League of Legends has like this it has this reputation of just being a toxic game,
yeah,
and it's a very high commitment level, very competitive. Even when it's not competitive, people are like cutthroat in that game. So yeah, if you say
yeah,
you play League of Legends, you're probably a very intense gamer. So okay, so
yeah, a
League
little
of
bit.
Legends. Okay, and what else?
Um, I don't know. I'm gonna say Genshin Impact a little bit.
Okay,
I've been getting back into it.
cool,
So, yeah,
cool.
but it's interesting because with games like League of Legends, like you mentioned, like the toxicity and all that within the community, I think it's just the perfect place to be at times, to be that light
Yeah.
because it's so interesting how the mindset of gamers in that specific game they tend to be so negative and then
Hmm.
you come in and try to shed a little bit of light or kindness and it just stands out
Yeah,
because
they're
it's
caught
like
off
wait
guard.
this
They're like,
is
"Why are you
yeah
being
it's like
nice?"
why are you being nice to
Yeah,
to
yeah,
me
yeah.
so
Yep.
yeah it's
And
cool to see.
I mean, I have to admit this. Like, I've compromised my testimony on League of Legends before, and I've like added people after. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, I was a jerk, and they're like, you weren't a jerk. This is League, bro. You were just intense. And I'm like, no, but like, I want to be different. And they're like, why? I'm like, because I love Jesus, And then they either
Yeah,
talk trash more or they just get curious. Usually, they actually get curious. You know what I mean? They're like,
that's
oh,
awesome.
that's cool. So, oh, actually, this is fun. Yeah, I could talk about League for way too long. So let's not do that. But as you're talking about live streaming again, bringing it back to the whole point of this podcast, this library of stories, as we call it, is to really answer the question. People say, when do you actually share the gospel? Now, for those of us that are in the space, we're like all the time. What do you mean? When do I actually share the gospel? That's all I do. But we really like to focus in on some specific stories. So before you get into a specific story, lay for us like the foundation of like how could a story even begin to happen, you know what I mean, before sharing a specific thing. What are things that happen on a stream that create opportunities for lives being impacted? You've already shared some, but unpack that a little bit. What is the
I
environment like?
think so when you live stream, you usually have a schedule, a specific time in which you live stream. So in my case, I stream right now Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays at a specific time, which for me it is at 10 a.m. EST. And so at that
Okay.
time, people already expect it. Some people are already in the chat waiting for me to go live. They start interacting with each other, which is really, really cool to see. And because of that, it creates community. It creates people that already know what to expect and be there and see each other's names and already
Mm,
recognize each other. So, kind of like in the same way when you go to church at a specific time, you already kind of know what to expect and the people that you're going to meet and the people you're going to say hi to. In the same way, the stream becomes that community in which
mm,
people go into, in which they already know, oh, like this is this person, this is that person. And sometimes it's not even a conversation between me and the person in the chat. Sometimes it's between themselves, which I personally love, in which they're like, hey, John, how are you doing? Or hey, Pap, how are you doing? And they just start interacting with each other while I'm just here doing my thing. They're having
yeah.
their own conversation. But yeah, because of that community aspect of it, we're able to build relationship. I'm able to get to know more
Cool.
about them. They're able to get to know more about me, and that opens the door to conversation and be able to share with them the gospel. We take time in my stream to read the Bible. We take time to pray, and I tell them like, hey, like even if I'm playing a game, if you guys need prayer, let me know. I'll stop what I'm doing. Like this is way more important to
Mm,
me than a video game, than what we're doing right now. Because even though we play games, even though we love it, even though we may be passionate about it, that's not the main reason why we're here. Like the main reason is God. Because
Yeah.
after the stream ends, I'm gone. But God is the one that stays with you. He is the one that stays, in your life. And He's the one that will be with you even when I'm not live streaming. So,
Yeah, something
yeah.
I appreciate that you really emphasized is maybe there are people that do this, but you don't. And most streamers that I know that love Jesus don't do this. But I think non-gamer, non-streamer culture people think that, oh, when someone goes live with video games, they haven't really thought through the theological depth of what it is they're doing. But no,
Mm,
most of the people that I know, like you, that are going on mission, like you, Susie Dill, like Cross the Crown, like a lot of these people that have thought of it, they're like, no, no, it is a very missional, very purposeful thing. You've spent time thinking about this and praying about this. It's not just like, I'm going to game today, let's see what happens. It's like, no, I have a theological agenda. I'm going to evangelize to people. I'm going to share the gospel with them. And I would say that this is on top of that. So let's go two things. One, I want to hear more about that. Like, tell me like the theological side of this. Do you like what this really means to you from a biblical perspective? But two, from the user side of it. So from the person in the Twitch chat, the chatter's perspective, people are actually very vulnerable on Twitch. And I
yeah.
have a theory that it's actually because a lot of anonymity. Like if you have me in person, not me, I'm very vulnerable, but if you have the average person in person, they're kind of on edge. Like you can see me, you can hear me, you can tell that like my mustache isn't where it needs to be. You can tell that I have this acne on my face. You know what I mean? It's like, I feel awkward
Yeah.
because I'm in person. I feel exposed, but when we're online, I think actually people are way more vulnerable than you would realize. So speak to this culture of what is it like from as a missionary on the streamer side, and why is it you think that people are more receptive to that online than they might be like in a grocery store?
I think as missionary, like you said, like we don't just game, we game with a purpose. We do it with the other person in mind, wanting to be there. And, whether it's praying for them, whether it's talking with them, is just so key, is
Mm,
so, so, so important. And I agree 100% that I think people can be very vulnerable, can be very open online because they're not in person, because they can hide behind a name and they can say anything and everything, and they think there's no consequences. So it's pros and cons in that. But because of that as well, people are open to share about their own struggles.
mm,
And, I've had people on the stream in which they stop by, say, hey, like my family member passed away, or this is what I'm struggling with, or me and my wife are trying to be financially stable. And they start talking about these things, which I don't think if we were in person that would have happened. But because it's
yeah.
online, they're open to like, hey, like, guys, can you pray for me? Like, I am struggling, like, I'm going through this. And I think what's beautiful as well about Twitch is that you're able to just get there just a click away. Like, you don't
Yeah.
have to get in a car, go over to the person's house and all that. Like, you can just
Grab a
click on the
coffee,
stream.
talk for 20 minutes before
Yeah.
you feel comfortable. Yeah. You can just click on the
Yeah.
stream. What's this here? Yeah.
Yeah, you can just click on the stream, just type in the chat, say, "Hey, can you pray for me? I'm struggling.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with this."
From your PJs
And
or while laying in bed, just like, oh,
yeah,
I don't even want to get out of bed today. I'm just typing. Yeah.
yeah,
Wow. That's really cool. That I actually have never thought of that specific thing of like, I don't have the energy to get up and go to this coffee meeting that I got to have to begin with. And I've struggled with depression in my life. So I get that. I get this battle of like, man, I know I'm valuable to Jesus. I know he loves me, but like, how do I get out of bed today? The cool thing is like,
yeah,
like if I open up Instagram and I see you right there, like praying for me right away, I'm like, oh gosh, man, it's beautiful. Um, so this is actually a good segue then into the story that I'm inviting you to share today. You talked about vulnerability. You talked about somebody just talking on the phone. Something else is that like sometimes when people share, they're sharing with you and the 20 other people that are watching a stream, or hundreds or however many show up for any given function. They're sharing it with you and all these others. And sometimes these conversations become so intense that it's maybe you and one other person. It's like, hey, I only trust these people with that. So, Ashley, start from wherever you'd like, but maybe a little build up, like share this satellite story that you have prepared today and how somebody's life has been impacted through video game culture and where they encountered Jesus, maybe through you and the work that you do on your stream.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the beautiful things about streaming as well is that from there, we invite people into a platform called Discord. And there, people are able to, it's kind of like a huge group message app, I guess you could say, where
Yeah.
people can type chat messages, they can get into voice calls, they can have conversations with other people. So, we invite people into
And
this
a lot of
Discord, into
online
this
communities
server.
have a Discord server, right? Like for gaming, that's
Yeah.
like a common thing. So amongst gamers,
Yeah.
it sounds very intricate, but it's really just part of our culture, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, cool, cool.
And,
Just continue.
and so because of that, people from the stream enter this Discord server and they're able to interact with each other and all that. Um, so we had this one person enter the community, and one day they reached out to one of my moderators, I believe. And moderator is basically one of the people that volunteer to help out with the server, whether it's like leading, guiding others within the server, or just having conversation with them, or just trying to keep it safe for people that join. So they reached out to one of the moderators and they mentioned how like, hey, like I think I'm just gonna take my life. Like I'm
Mm.
just gonna, gonna end it. And they were literally like on their way, like walking towards where they were gonna like take their life. And so this moderator like reached out to me, told me the situation, and we both were able to like talk to the person. Were able to reach out. I was able to also reach out to a cousin of mine because he in the work field that my cousin is in, he has been able to talk with a lot of people that have been in that place specifically, in which they've had like suicidal thoughts and all this.
Mm.
And so he was able to like give me advice and give me, like pointers of like, this is what you say and this is where you guide them to. And so I was able to talk to the person, me and the moderator, and thankfully the person didn't go through with it. And we were able to like reach out to whether I think it was like the police or someone that was able to like be there for them and help them out. But it's scary, honestly, because
Mm.
it's online, because you can try and talk, you can try and be there, but ultimately the person is the one that decides whether they want to go through it on or not. But thankfully, God gave us the opportunity to be there for that person when they were going through those, suicidal thoughts. And yeah, so seeing God move in that way and through that, and just because it all started with me just going live on Twitch, just
Mm.
because it started with me, playing video games and wanted to share Christ online, that person was able to find my community and be able to find the help that they needed. But all the glory to God, like 100%. So
Yeah. That is beautiful. And when I hear that, I think, like, yeah, that's very likely to happen online. Maybe you know this, but like I think there are a lot of people that would be surprised that that is something that can come from playing on Twitch. Like, what would you say to them? Not in an insulting way, right? Not somebody like when people doubt video game ministry. I don't think what they're saying is like, there maybe some of them. I don't think they're all saying like video games are evil. You shouldn't use them. They just simply don't get it. Like, how am I going
yeah,
to actually impact somebody's life by playing a game where I'm shooting people? Like, what we're doing, what you're doing actually has almost nothing to do with the video game. So what would you say to them to help them understand like, no, this story is not only true, but like there are a lot of stories like this online. Like probably like a very scary amount of people that share their mental health struggles online. Like what is it you would say to help them understand like, no, this is real. This is definitely more than video games. How would you explain it to somebody that is not in that culture or maybe even opposed to it?
I think you have to look at the people. I think video
Mm.
games can be entertaining. They can, be seen in a negative way. Same with anything else that we do. But when you actually see the person that's behind the screen, when you actually see the person that's there, like it makes it more real. Because even though we're seeing pixels on a screen and everything, we are able to interact with others online. We are able to reach out to people that maybe you wouldn't be able to. I'm able to talk to people that are like, in different parts of the US or in different parts of the
Yeah.
world
And maybe the
because
only
of
way
video
they
games.
interact is online.
Yeah.
Right. And so
Yeah.
like they're not going to be in a grocery store. They're not going to drive a car. Maybe they work from home. Maybe they don't work at all. Like, yeah, I think that's a good point. Like you're going to be able to interact with people that they otherwise would not. And I'd actually even take it a step further. And this isn't to say, this is not to say that, that people that aren't playing Twitch aren't sharing the gospel. That's not it. But I would say that there are ways in which you are kind of, you have the opportunity to reach people maybe more than the average individual who goes to work, goes to the grocery store, goes to the gas station, comes home every day, because you are interacting with tons of people at random throughout the entire day, whereas they're seeing the same people at work, the same people at the grocery store, the same people at at the gas station. Now that's good. Those people need to be in that space. But like you being at home, live streaming, you interact with, you probably meet a number of people you've never met ever every single day you go live, right? You're like,
Yeah.
hey, there's a person I've never met. So it's all these different interactions. Do you ever wish you just had a normal job? Do you
No.
ever wish that? No, you're like, no, not at all. No,
I
I bet there's
think
people that wish they could play video games though. You're like, I do.
no, the only time that maybe I've thought about it is just because of the financial aspect of it.
Mm,
But other than that,
yeah.
no, not really. Like I've even asked God, like God, if you want me to do something else, you can let me know. I'm open to it, but this is where He has me, and I love it. I love to be a part of it and be able to share with people constantly, how good God really is and how real He is. So
Yeah. That's so cool. Yeah, now this story, again, I'll say this so our viewers understand, we really try to hear the story like directly from the person that was impacted. Now you're not the main character in this story. This person who wanted in their life was, but this story did impact you. Did this, was this a first for you? Was this the first time that that the mental health, because the mental health stuff probably comes up almost every single day, right? But like in some way, shape, or form, was this the first time this happened? And has this story, how has it impacted you? How has it changed, or has it changed or influenced the way you interact with people online, or maybe given you fresh perspective?
I think it was the first time that it what's the word? Like it got to that point.
Mm,
I have like met people. It's like, hey, like I'm struggling with this or I'm dealing with this, but I hadn't ever seen that it had like gotten to the point of like, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be taking my life. So it was
mm,
definitely like a first for me, and it was, yeah, it definitely brings things into perspective of to like, what God has given me the blessing opportunity to do. Like it matters. Like
yeah.
even the days where I'm like, I kind of don't feel like streaming today, like it matters when I show up. It matters when I'm there. And there's been at times like several messages from people saying like, hey, like this is how your video impacted me, or this is how
Mm,
your stream impacted me, or there's a story specifically that I personally really love of a guy that stopped by my stream, and he was dealing with a lot of things in his life. He was really, really struggling, and he became one of my moderators. He started to like help me out with the
cool.
community. And then
Was he a
as
Christian
time
when he met you?
yes, but he was struggling though.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
he
yeah.
was definitely just dealing with a lot of stuff in his personal life. Um and later on, as time progressed, I was able to see how God started working in his life and bringing people into his life. And him
Mm,
being a part of like a new church, and him like getting married and having a
beautiful.
kid,
Holy cow.
and seeing that, and it was, it's
Yeah,
beautiful. I
but
love
all
it.
you do is like play Genshin, right?
Oh
Like that's
man.
it. No, I'm just kidding. No, this is what I
Yeah.
love that. I want
Yeah.
people to hear that, because it's like, yes, I get to play video games with people, but like there are even days where you don't want to show up, but you showing up for a stream means like somebody, a new person might stumble along and eventually become your moderator, go find a church and meet Jesus, right? We can play butterfly effect all day where we try to say, well, if this didn't happen, that didn't happen. God could still, meet these
Yeah.
people in many ways. But at the end of the day, like God is allowing your ministry to be something that influences live on a regular basis. And I love that. Now, we'll start to make a final transition here. It doesn't always, like in any setting, in church, in youth ministry, in live streaming, like it doesn't always work out, right? Like it doesn't always. So these are stories of like how it does work out. But you also shared with me an example of like, here's what it looks like sometimes when it doesn't. And how is what does that look like in an online ministry where you don't really know much about some of the people you serve? What does it look like when that doesn't go the way you want it compared to like maybe a church or another ministry? What does that look like?
I think it's very, very difficult. There was this person that came into my community and joined, and I got to see him regularly in my streams, in Discord at times. And then suddenly he just stopped showing up. He stopped answering messages. I've tried to reach out, he doesn't answer.
Mm,
And till this day, and that's been, I think, about a year or maybe more than that, maybe a couple years now. And I have no idea how he's
mm,
doing. I have no idea if he's alive. I have no idea what has happened. And I think that's one of the most difficult things with being online, and trying to hold back not to tear up,
mm.
but it hurts because you honestly don't know if that person's okay.
Yeah.
Um, it's like, you go into a church and you see the same person there every Sunday, and then suddenly they're just not there anymore, and you have no way to reach out to them.
Mm,
You don't know their phone number, you don't know where they live, you don't know anything. And, your mind starts thinking the worst. And it's just very, very difficult because it reminds me of another experience that I had, in which I had a guy that I knew in person, that I knew at the school that I was a part of, growing up. And he came to my stream and he said hello and all that. And we got to chat a little bit. He would stop by sometimes, just a few times, very rarely, but a few times he got to stop by. And it was very special because I knew him from
mm,
like when I was, I don't know, maybe like 16 or something. So like seeing him on stream now, it was just really, really cool. And then later on, I found out that he passed away, and he was
ah,
like a few years younger than me. And I was able to know because I knew him in person, because I knew people in my life that knew him as well, and I was able to find out what had happened. And that was something that I hadn't gone through before. A person around my age that passed away, and
mm,
that's an example of someone that I knew that stopped by my stream, that I was able to find out what happened. But with this other guy, I have no connection, so I
mm.
have no idea if he's okay or not. And even the other day, someone asked me like, "Hey, like, do you remember this guy that was here?" It's like, yeah, I've reached out and he
Mm.
hasn't said anything. So
That's so hard. And I
yeah,
appreciate you willing to share that because no ministry is just all butterflies and rainbows, but
yeah,
people say that all the time, like social media and like the online world is often a highlight reel. So I think that with ministry that is on social media, we can get caught up in like, oh, it's all butterflies. But those of us that do video game ministry, and specifically you with content creation ministry and others, like none of you live in this fantasy world where you're trying to pretend like it's all perfect and it's all great. And I
yeah.
appreciate you being transparent with that, because I know that all these people that I mentioned earlier, Matt, like Pastor Susie, like all these people would say like, no, the hard stuff is really hard, and not knowing is tough. But at least these people have you. So actually, I appreciate you taking the time to share these stories, to share the beautiful side of it, but then also kind of look at the ugly truth in that. So to close us out here, I think we'd be remiss not to ask, what is it that God is calling you to do right now? How can we be praying for you? And I'll make sure people know of how they can. I'll make sure, like in the video description and stuff, they can find you. But what is it the Lord has called you to do in this season, and how can we be thinking about you?
So I'm very excited to where God has me right now, because He has put in my heart specific people to reach out to. And most recently, I've been able to be open and vulnerable about my own story, because I used to struggle
Mm,
with lust. I used to struggle with loneliness. And so God has put in my heart to reach out to women that have been in those shoes, to reach out to women that are struggling with lust, that are struggling with loneliness within the gaming community. And
mm,
so It's been just a huge blessing to be able to reach out to those women specifically. And one way that I've been able to do that is that I created a server using Discord, basically the platform that I mentioned earlier, a
Yeah.
space in which women are invited, which they are able to be encouraged by one another. They're able to find accountability. We're able to not just play games together or read books together, but actually find freedom by pointing them to Jesus, by pointing
Mm,
them to God. And it's been just incredible to see them
that's so
open
cool.
up, be vulnerable, and it has honestly surprised me
Yeah.
because when I first started it, I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna have to like push them a little bit to open up. But as soon as I created the space, they just chose to. They just felt so
Yeah.
safe and started opening up about their own stories, their own struggles, and be able to shine light into that darkness. And yeah, it's been really, really cool to see what God has been doing in that space.
Man, you are just hitting so many misconceptions. This misconception that like, oh, women don't struggle with lust. You know what I mean? That's just a man thing. Like that's just like how crazy is that? But you've said like,
Oh
nah, and
no.
I'm gonna identify. Yeah, as you laugh, you're like, no way. Yeah, and as a man, as a married man, like I have to have spaces where I can talk about my own struggles that my wife maybe can't relate to. But it is awesome that we just acknowledge like man or woman, like we are here with struggles, and it's great to know that there's a space that women can talk about that with you. So thank you so much for sharing your story, sharing how we can be praying for you. We'll be praying that for you. That's zSarayu on Instagram, right? zSarayu on Twitch. I'll make sure that I give you guys the spelling a link so you could just push the button. And hey, for those of you who have never watched a Twitch stream before, you're not really a whole lot into content creation. If you would stop by Ashley zSarayu's Twitch stream, create an account and just like, hey, Jamie told me to say hi. Like, I dare you to do it. I know there's some grandmas out there that maybe wouldn't be interested in watching Pastor Susie play World of Warcraft, but you might be interested in hanging out with Ashley. Plus, if you're not on video, you're just listening to audio, she has a giant, cute Yoshi plushie doll behind her from Mario, and you definitely want to see that bad boy and give it a hug. So Ashley, thank you, my friend. It was great to be with you in person during Multiply School. It was great to hear about your ministry. I love knowing how we can pray for you. Any final words?
Know that God loves you, know that he's there, and no matter what, you can rely on him. He will always be there for you no matter what.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Ashley. Thanks, Satellite family. Love you guys. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us as we grow the library of Satellite stories. We'll see you next time, and don't forget, Jesus loves you, nerds.